Hello, gorgeous woman, and welcome to this exclusive and very special series of the Rebel Matriarch podcast, Mystics Unhinged. In this space, our beautiful mystics are coming forth and they are speaking unfiltered, unedited, uncensored truths that every woman needs to hear, especially you. So buckle up, get ready, and let's get started. Hello, gorgeous human beings, and welcome to the Rebel Matriarch podcast. My name is Samantha Sanford, and I am your host. And today is day 2, or the second episode of the Mystics Unhinged series. And I can already feel like lots of excited and nervous energy flowing through, which is amazing, and I'm so here for it. I'm just going to ground that in. And I'm really excited to be introducing Dr. Niikee'sha. Is it Dr. Niikee'sha, isn't it? Yeah. I should have checked that first. Dr. Niikee'sha, thank you so much. You're welcome to the Rebel Matriarch and also to be part of Mystics Unhinged.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here with you guys.
Oh, I love this so much. So you have extensive experience in being a woman, a mystical woman, a medicine woman, a healing woman, and I am really fascinated to hear so much of your story and your journey. And so we know who we're in the presence of. Can you share a little bit about your gifts and what your gifts are?
Yes, that's a big question. I guess when I step back from that question and I think what are some of my gifts is like courage, faith, trust. Because how I feel is that there are so many of us that are here in this time for this auspicious time that we're in, right? This great change that we're going through, the awakening of the collective, that there's so many of us here now that already know this. We already know this because we've already walked it. We've already felt integration with Great Spirit or God, the universe, however, we look at that. We've worked in these ways. And so we're all here to actually stabilize the higher realm potentials. And so, where we're walking is really a shift in perception. And that perception requires the trust and faith in the possibilities and in the new way so that we can actually stabilize more of what is already here for us and possible for us. And, the courage is such a big thing. Like we actually, interestingly, we were just speaking about it before we came on as well. And I feel like that's such a big thing to, really do the inner work enough around to trust and to have faith in process and have the courage to walk forward on a path that we haven't been here before in our collective history. It's like, how do we as the wise women, walk forward in a way that creates newness, that creates solutions, not trying to fix problems. It actually really feels like that the solution is in the creation of a whole new way of being, a new way of perceiving, a new way of really moving into the trust and faith within ourselves so that we can reconnect with the truth of who we are as divine light beings, like we all are. And it's like to be able to reconnect with that, it makes a lot of the other, problems not even really there, because the problems are created at the level of the problem and not at the, not at the level, of the solution. And, I always feel like I've had a lot of insight and a lot of awareness of more than meets the eye, but I never had the courage to say it for a really long time. I'd be like, nah, people are going to think I'm weird. And then interestingly, I even used to get like this tight constriction all the way up my back that I couldn't actually speak. It'd be like this tightening, and I'd be like, it was really intense. The old persecution wounds that I carried into this timeline. And so when I was younger, I was really carrying a lot of it and not sharing it, not sharing it with anybody. I was sharing it with a few select friends that also understood. And, even when I started, sharing more teachings and things like that, it was kind of like, I'd be like this and I'd be like, do you know? No, do you know? Quick, come in, quick, before anyone sees us. It always really feels like back like it was before. But it was like, I was really like playing out this same energy, but without the basis for that actually to even be necessary anymore. And, so it's really, I think for all of us, it's not just as simple as having courage. It's actually coming back to make peace within the self that, we have probably been persecuted before, and that's okay. It's okay to feel the fear, and it's okay to, feel all of the things that aren't in alignment for us. But really, when we can hold ourselves in that beautiful trust and faith and see through the eyes of love, that we see beyond that. And then so much more is possible. It is possible for all of us.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm curious to know, because so many women walk around with a knowing. There are things that they know, there are things that they understand, there are things that they've experienced, and yet they don't have the courage to speak up, to break the silence. And it's not that they're a bad person or they're wrong. It's that they've been coded to be silent. They've been conditioned to be silenced. And so there's this real fear, right? And so many of us would be descendants of the women who were burnt at the stakes, right? Because it was not witches, it was women that were burned. And so many women that were persecuted throughout all of history for having a knowing that could not be explained by man. And so that women can really, I guess, tap into or activate some of those courage codes, it would be so interesting to hear what was the shift for you from going from, like whispering your truths to being like, actually, these are my truths, accept them or not, it's okay, but I'm here to speak clearly and, project my voice.
Yeah. Great question. And, it really felt like for me, and, with a lot of people that I work with now too, because I do work with a lot of women that are very similar as we do, right? And, walking the path and helping them to really bust through those old programs. And, what I find is that making peace with the past, it's like generationally, that's just how it was. And last millennium, we didn't have the amount of light that's here now for us to even be aware that those looping patterns were happening. The looping patterns of, who are we as women? Oh, well, we're actually no one. We're only what we can provide for our families. And, you still see that today, even though, we're well into this awakening cycle, so to speak. And you can see that everywhere. A lot more people are, becoming re-empowered, really coming back to self and, who the self be. But then there is still a lot of that stickiness into the repetition of patterns. And another thing that was happening last millennium as well was that not dealing with problems. It was like pretending everything's okay. And so there isn't really any coping skills in those times like we have now. There really wasn't anything. It was just like, how do we deal with this? Oh, we don't want to go to a psych because all we do is start replaying our trauma, right? When you go to in the mainstream type of, psychiatry, and then it's like, oh, there must be something wrong with you if you do seek help in any of those ways. So all of that programming was really so dense and thick last millennium that it feels like it was the end of the darkness cycle. It plummeted through the dark ages. I still giggle they called it the dark ages, right? It's like, well, what does that even mean? Oh, we're getting rid of all the light. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, let's just call it the dark ages. And, to come to that and through that, and even the materialism and the industrialization to further disempower people, having them in, jobs that don't pay enough money to buy all the things that's made by industrialization that we don't even need. And there's this real there's just that poverty cycle and that lack and that disempowerment, which, prevents a lot of people from even recognizing that there's another way.
Yes, absolutely. And was there a particular point or a story in your journey where you went, hang on a minute, I've been playing into all of this conditioning? And what
Yeah.
was it like for you to, or like, is there a story or a pivotal moment where you decided to speak out or like just show up in all of yourself?
Yeah, yeah. And, it, I mean, there's been a few along the way, defining awakening slaps. Like, wait, what are you doing? Whoa, okay, yes, yes, I'm
Yeah.
here, I'm on track. When I was working as an academic for quite a long time, and for a couple of years before everything crumbled and fell apart, I literally had it all pulled out from under me. But I was already getting the message. It's like, okay, it's time to break away. It's time to break away. It's time to, come and create more of your own stuff. And, I was creating within the academic cycle, within the academic cycle, creating, education and, grants and research and, all of the things like you do. And so, I did enjoy it in that way because I do love creating. But it was just like, no, it's time to go. It's time to go. And I was kind of like really stuck in the lack. So, a lot of these, what I call faulty beliefs or faulty programs, I've personally experienced. Like I giggle with my students, and I reckon I've had all of the faulty programs. So I understand them. I understand them quite very deeply. And, literally everything fell apart. Like I remember I used to have a ritual when between Christmas and New Year. And it was a time I'd just shut my doors, turn everything off. Because in academia, that was like, it was just constant and incessant, all the things you're expected to do all the time, which keeps you in that depleted lack state as well. And so the time between Christmas and New Year's, I'd have all the Christmas tree lights on and shut all the curtains and doors and turn my phone off and, consciously do meditation processes. And I was getting taken through a process, and I literally just invoked the light, and I was like, yep, it's time. I'm thinking, what am I doing? And I just like, and I was like, okay. And then from that time, like everything just started crumbling away. My department at the university lost money. At the naturopathic college, there was all this stuff going on as well. My relationship was breaking down because it was at that point that it was probably finished a couple of years before that as well. But you know how we keep hanging on because of the old story of we're not going to be okay, right? That kind of programming. And then but it all just fell away. And so I was left with not even visioning that the higher realms that I work with wouldn't even let me vision, because I usually at the end of a year I'd vision, even though I was in the matrix still, I was still doing other things. Being in the naturopathic college, we could work with energetics and stuff like that as well in the old ways. And it and sorry, I just lost track of what I was saying then. I went a little bit far. When you try to explain something and down a thread too far. Yeah. So I was I was like literally left with nothing and not even being able to vision. The guides were like, stop, nothing. You need to make space. You need to actually be in the space of actual nothing. And to make me trust. It was like, do you trust yet? No, I'm still holding on. Oh, I still had a couple of little jobs over there that I was at, a couple of little, committees, because you have to be on all of those as well, being in academia. And it was like, get your fingers off that stuff that you don't need. And I'm like, oh, can I hold with this hand? Yes. And so it was quite an intense process of everything, falling away. And, it wasn't until like almost I think it was even the exact day I woke up that morning and I'm okay, it's all yours. I got nothing left. There's nothing I want to create. There's nothing I'm connected to. It's just, there's nothing left. What else? And then, and only then, I think it was only a couple of hours later that I started receiving kind of, the next steps on the path. I literally walked past this beautiful office space that had been empty for I think 8 months beforehand. I walk past it all the time. It was like literally there waiting for me, but it was just me having to allow the space to actually have something else, come into creation, in that way. And then, so it just kind of opened opened up from there then.
Wow. I think it's really important to stop and recognize the nothingness, because as women, especially in today's society, when we're constantly trying to do, be, have all the things and better ourselves, and we're striving for this weird perfection that apparently we're supposed to be striving for. This is all unconsciously. But even as we're awakening, even as we start doing the work, these patterns and these codes and these behaviors are so ingrained in us that as we're awakening and we're realizing, oh, I'm doing all of these things out of these for these reasons, and now I really feel like I want to connect with my intuition. I want to connect with, my spirit guides. I want to connect with my purpose, my mission, what I'm here to do. And so we go from doing all the matrix stuff, right? Job, family, commitment, mortgage, must do all things. And then we shift all gears into our enlightenment, into our mission, our purpose, discovering who we are, reconnecting with our power. But then it's like all things go, 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 go. We've got to do courses and programs. We've got to learn. We've got to do mindset work. And so it's like we never really go through that period of nothing. And I think this is the downfall of personal development, spiritual development, all of the developments, because it's like it's the nothingness that actually gives us our greatest power, and it's the step that we seem to all miss.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that forward. The integration is so important. The reflection on actually how far we've come. When we start to do the deep inner work, I refer to, I guess, the densities, all the faulty beliefs, the beliefs that have us separate to our divinity, things that, all of those malaligned things. There's heaps of them, all sorts of things that, trash thoughts we can think about ourselves and about others and all of that. And so what that does is it appears like density, because it's lower vibrating energy. And what happens is when we're collecting all of that, density itself doesn't reflect light. And so there's no space for more of our light. So as we start doing the work, we start to hold more light, but then there's like these tipping points that come as well, that as we have more light, these things that aren't a match to our light have to come to the surface. And then, so, sometimes people will be like, I'm doing all the right things. I can't believe that this has happened. I've been spending so much time in my inner world and doing all the things. And then this happens. And it's like, that's why, because it needs to come up to be witnessed, to be released, so that it can't come and sneak back in again. And so there's actually, I think that's something that's really been a gift to be able to share with people, that awareness that you're not doing it wrong, keep going. It's actually a sign that you're doing all the right things, because it's not a match to even more of your higher self coming in. So this needs to come to the surface, so you get to witness it through the higher light, so it can, come to its transformation and not be the same anymore. Because once we witness it through light, it's not the same anymore. And so it's just this gift of beautiful unfolding. And in the Vedas, they talk about the 1,000-petaled lotus, in the Vedic scriptures, which is, the flowering of consciousness, the lotus, and it's like one petal at a time, which is exactly that. It's like, if we were to truly have our crown and third eye open, like everyone was kind of praying for last millennium, it's like we'd implode, like your head would not be able to handle the vastness of the greater reality without, the foundations to, be able to support that and actually even get any benefit out of it. And so, this beautiful journey of, I think, being in acceptance of what is and trusting that whatever's happening is for our benefit. I know that, that saying is quite well known, and it can feel a bit cheesy when stuff's really going down. But then how many times out the other side, or eventually, if you allow it, you receive the awareness of, why that was actually a pivotal part of, your continued evolution. It was like when all that experience I shared with you of mine before, that, you know, when everything started falling away, I was panicking. I'm like, oh my God, I've broken everything. I was like, what did I do? You know? And then it's like, you know, only out the other side then, you know, we get to, you know, really acknowledge, if we allow it, what the whole, you know, the whole rationale really for that process was.
Yes. Yeah, there's I also feel like women put a lot of pressure on themselves. I've got to get it all done. And it's almost, well, it's like it'll never all be done. So we may as well actually be present with and accepting of everything, every stage that we're at, and find some piece of enjoyment to, because it's life. Like, we don't have to dedicate our entire existence and every waking moment and sleeping moment to healing and fixing and correcting and processing and doing all the work. We actually also get to pause and enjoy moments for pure enjoyment and nothing else.
Yeah. And, you know, it makes all the other process so much easier. I never used to as well. I'd always be like the next thing and the next thing. And I want to, you know, do this and work on this and work on this. And then, you know, the last couple of years, I've just like gone, I need to create space. It was like space is what I'm actually missing. And it was like, and I've really been enjoying, firstly, the discomfort of that, because, you know, we are so programmed into, you know, if we're not doing, we're being lazy. Remember that old chestnut? It's like, oh no,
I
please
know it well. Yes.
leave us alone. Or if it's not perfect, that's another a big barrier that, you know, there is no such thing as perfect, or we wouldn't be here, right? It's like, you know,
Definitely.
allowing that and coming into acceptance that we're all not perfect. So it's all good. We've all got stuff. We've all got, you know, things that are within us that are actually there for our evolution. They're gifts. They're actually gifts. And that's the evolution, is to be able to witness those as the gifts that they are. And that's the release of the density. It's like, oh, that actually helped me to recognize that I need to have better boundaries, and I won't put up with someone treating me like that anymore. You know, even when it has been those sorts of experiences, you know, and then
And
that
there would be
becomes the
so many.
gift.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And I know, I do know that when you're in the thick of it, no one wants to hear that this is a gift. And it's like, whilst you're in the thick of it, be in the thick of it. And it's okay to feel what you're feeling, and just know that you will get to a point where you can reflect in hindsight and you'll understand the gift. But yeah, being in the
Yeah,
thick of it is hard.
totally. Yeah. And, you know, something that I've found that really helps people, and, you know, has helped myself as well, is to, even when things are good, 5 minutes a day of plugging into the greater reality, plugging out of the matrix into the greater reality of that we are love and light. Can you just plug into that feeling, because it already is? It's actually the deepest and most essential part of our nature. If we can do that every day, then when life happens, we can very easily, because that's imprinted then in our everyday, it becomes more and more of a frequency that's also there with us. And so life happens still. We're all doing life happens. But when we've got that established connection, then it's, you know, something we can always go, okay, well, I'm going to sit back with that. There it is. And then all of a sudden, all the clouds clear. And it's like, literally, it's like, oh, okay, I see that, you know, maybe this is my next best step kind of thing. Because otherwise we just get caught in the matrix and the stickiness, and then, you know, problems perpetuate problems. And, you know, when we're stressed, we get a disconnection to our prefrontal cortex. That's part of the, you know, the stress response, which means we can't solve problems. We can't think clearly. We don't know how to behave socially. You know, all of those things is actually not possible while we're stressing. So it's kind of a catch-22 when we're, you know, staying in the stress cycles to try and find a solution. It's like, literally, it's not a mental health thing. It's a physiological thing. It's just the way the body operates, that when we're stressed, we can't think clearly. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with us and we need to take medication. It's just like, no, we just need to relax more, give ourselves permission to allow things to be okay. We can't be everything to everybody. We just can't.
I love that. I love that. And it's so true. We don't, we get in these stress cycles and we're like, I'm not thinking about this until I have a solution. And it's like, no, you will always continue to think like this, that you have to actually remove yourself from the situation and then the solution comes clear, and be in the void, right? The void of like not having a solution and feeling the discomfort of not having a solution, and learning to be okay in that discomfort, knowing that it will come, you'll figure it out. You just don't know what it is yet.
Totally, isn't it? And it's like, creating those conditions, which is, one of the main things that I teach now out of academia is, how we do create the conditions to be a match to that information that's always there, which is through our wisdom body, through our higher self in that way. And it's in the space, which is why when we're in the shower, we get downloads, or we're out in nature, or when we're in the ocean, because all of a sudden, the divineness of the experience is holding us in the void of awe. And then all of a sudden we're like, there's the answers. Or,
So true.
totally.
That's so true. What would you suggest? Because you did mention even when you're in the thick of it, and even when you're not in the thick of it, but just connecting to, the greatness of all that there is. But what does that actually look like? When you say plug in for 5 minutes, what does that look like for someone who doesn't know?
Yeah, great question. I try to encourage people to notice where they access that feeling in their life, because different people like different things. Like some people like dancing, some people like cooking, some people like gardening, some people like going to the beach. When we're in our element, it's like, okay, where's that happening for you? And so when I work with people, we kind of, help them to find how it makes it easy for them to plug in, because we're all different. Like for me, I love all the sparkles and the light. So I plug into I love the earth. And so I just feel the beautiful earth holding me, which makes me feel safe. And then I just work with light, usually just beautiful white, sparkly light. And I just sit in it and it just like fills me. But, that's my thing. It can be other people's thing, or other people can have a lot of other things as well. And, beyond even just the 5 minutes of plugging into the feeling, which is the frequency that becomes the re-encodement over time. And then we can access it much more easily, prioritizing things that we love. Not always having to be everything for everyone. Like I was a people pleaser for a really long time. So I get that as well. Always for everybody else, always for everybody else. And we can actually do better for others when we fill our own cup first. It's like when I'm functioning from overflow, I can actually be much better quality to support others around me. So allowing yourself to go to the beach, allowing yourself to spend time in the garden, go dancing, do whatever it is, that really does give you that beautiful feeling of elation, really. And, it's the classic, it's the classic way to, I guess, detach from the matrix. Like there's an entrapment, without going into conspiracy. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's so obvious that how our modern world has been crafted to keep us in lack and limitation and stress, and no time to even think about anything that we like, let alone, our inner work think about how we're feeling as well.
I am a conspiracy realist, not a
It,
theorist.
isn't it?
I am a
It's a bit
conspiracy realist.
obvious. It's getting more and more obvious, let me tell you. Isn't it?
Yes, I have been speaking to this. I'm like, the amount of TV and TV shows and movies that people watch, and like Netflix and chill, and movies and theater, and like the amount of unnecessary things that people consume, and they remain disconnected from all the things, is astounding. And it's like it's growing as it becomes more and more accessible, right? Because you used to have to go to a movie theater to be able to enjoy a blockbuster movie. Now it's literally click of the button and you've got so many streaming systems to be able to access all the things and just numb out and disconnect and not exist as a human for that period of time.
Yeah, even create an altered reality. because it's literally, it works in all the ways. Where are we focusing our attention is what becomes to be our energy field. Literally, that's how it happens, which is why it works really well to plug in 5 minutes a day into our higher self being and then allow yourself to do fun stuff, because that's kind of, creating that as more of, our energetic match and likeness. But if we are constantly plugged into drama and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it's like, it's hardcore. And then, do we come to believe that that's how life is and that's real? And no wonder we don't feel safe, because maybe the next door neighbor's a murderer. It's like,
yes, yeah. Or like desensitizing, like kidnapping and what's it called now? It's left my head. No, it's completely left my head. When you fall in love with your kidnapper.
or is it Munchausen's or something or other, or something similar?
Something like that. But there's like a show called You, I think, and like he's really not well in the head, and then he kidnaps someone, and then she ends up falling in love with him, and then it's just like, what? And then you've got like 50 Shades of Grey, which on one side is an interesting exploration of women's sexuality and alternative sexual desires and all the rest of it, which is a great conversation. But on the other side of it, it's like it brings up so many other questions, and so it's like all of a sudden you've got women romanticizing about things that are actually not healthy, and they're not safe, and they're not, do you know what I mean? Like the shows that they're creating is, I get the ick on so many things that have been released, and I can't watch. Can't watch.
No, me either. It's like I have a television that works really well as the clothesline when it's raining. That's about the extent of it, of how it operates, because it's overwhelming, especially the size of the screens these days. It's like I actually feel like I'm being invaded when like go to a friend's house and they've got this big thing on that's like blaring like war or whatever like.
Yes.
Whatever's on there. And it's like, I mean, each to their own, but I think having that awareness of how it's also imprinting our field. And, people can say, oh, it's only a movie, but it's energy. It's going through our psyche, creating energetic imprints. It's like energy is what energy does, right? We can't control it. We can create it differently. But, that's conscious creation and our conscious co-creation, how we can invite more of that into our lives. So, I think it's beautiful to have that awareness as well about where are we putting our attention in a day? Are we creating housewives of our local suburb? It's like too much time on your hands. Really. Like go do some humanitarian work or something.
I can't do reality TV. It drives me up the walls. Like, I got my own life to live. I can't do it. But as you were speaking to that, what was coming through for me was actually the amount of movies they've created on war, right? And we are so desensitized to war because Hollywood has made it a thing that we can sit and we can watch a 2-hour movie on war, and it's entertainment. And then when you connect it to the wars that are happening globally, and how disconnected we are from the realities of those wars, because we're seeing it like it's a Hollywood movie. And so we're disconnected. And then you've got people who are speaking to the war because they're from that country, or they're in that country, or they have family in that country. And everyone else is very disconnected from what they're saying because it's a Hollywood movie. What are you talking about? And so just as you were sort of speaking to it's an energy and it's going through our psyche and it is imprinting on us. That's what was coming through for me as a really important observation for people to acknowledge, like, what world travesties are happening that are being desensitized through Hollywood, and like things like human trafficking. All these awful things are being desensitized to us intentionally by design. And then the way that we're approaching it in real life is shocking,
isn't it? Because we think that's normal. Whereas it's like this is this view. And then it's like, what about all of this view? what about the beautiful group of school children in this country that went and raised all this money and fed all the homeless people? And, what about this other group of, this other group that got together and cleaned up their local forest? And, there's so much good happening in the world as well. And it's not being shared.
Mm-mm. No, because that doesn't control us. That doesn't instill fear in us. It doesn't
Really?
keep us connected to the
That
matrix.
we need them to look after us because we're not safe in this big, bad, horrible world with the murderer across the street and that other one down there and like no one's safe
Yep.
and all that. Well, yeah, it's full
Yep.
on, isn't it? It really
It
is when
is.
you're
It is. But that's why these conversations are so important, because what I love about mystics and women who are really connected with their intuition and they're connected with their gifts, like their wisdom born gifts, is that the perspectives you have allow us to reconnect to a bigger picture, because you're connected to a bigger picture. And so I'd love to know, because you said that you went through the void of nothing, right? It lost everything and you had to sit in the nothingness and do absolutely nothing, which is super uncomfortable. And then in the nothingness came this office space. And so what happened once you found this office space?
Yeah, it was actually, the way it all works, and it makes me giggle in retrospect, that it was like, because it had been empty so long, ended up getting the first 3 months for free if I signed it. Like, yeah, well, it just worked. And then it was like, okay, how am I gonna, how am I going to be able to, get an outfit for this place as well, but all the things, just at least minimal within this, empty office space. And I started thinking about going back to teach some summer school at the university. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just summer school, because I said I was going to leave and all of that. And it had been a while, and didn't have any work. I think I had to giggle. I even badly sprained my ankle because I had to sit still, because I was still not sitting still. I was like, oh no, I can't actually drive anywhere because it's my driving foot. Oh, it's full on. And within a couple, and I was like, oh, and I knew that I kind of, I didn't really want to do it, but I was kind of like in that, oh, I need to get money, you need to get money kind of scenario. And then I got a letter from the current human resources department from one of the naturopathic colleges that I was working at, that when the last HR people took over, they moved us from like part from casual to part-time or something or other. And anyway, because of that, technically speaking, they owed me thousands of dollars. And I was like, of course. Nikki zero, spirit, another one, and another one, and another one. And so I was like, literally, okay, here you go now. Ta-da.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And what do you do in your office? Like, what is it that you do now that you've been through academia, but you've also really connected with your spirit guides? Like, what are your mystical gifts?
Yeah, so I guess it was a little bit of a process, because when I was originally so I opened the space. I was still a bit in hiding, so I opened it as a naturopath, and my PhD work that I did was nutritional biochemistry, clinical medicine. It was vitamins and minerals, but it was kind of very heady and researchy and all of that. And so I was still kind of hiding behind that guise in a way. And I could even teach yoga there. It's just the most perfect space. And yeah, and it still wasn't aligning. It was like, why am I like doing all the work trying to make the business up and running? And then it was just like, that's not it. And, at that time as well, the guides I'm working with were teaching me a lot of different ways to work with energy. And, people would come in, like people with the exact thing that this process that, the guides had just showed me through somebody else. And so it was just starting to come together. So I spent a couple of years not promoting I was doing it, but like literally being brave. And because sometimes I'd be like, no, they're going to think I'm mad, I'm not going to say that. And the guides are like, just do it, go on. And I'm like, no, I'm too scared. But then I kind of let that go, and was working with people in that way. And then after a couple of years, they said to me, "Okay, well now it's your turn to teach this to other people." And I was like, "What do you mean me?" And then they just kind of showed me, okay, well, I even got a grad cert in curriculum design when I was doing research at uni, and doing all that. Like, this is what you do for a living, right? You teach people and all of that. And then I was just like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, good point, good point. I can continue to work with this. And so yeah, we've just really just grown and developed this particular modality. It's called intuitive energetics. And there's like a foundations, and then even with, as people moving through the foundations, it's like, oh, there's an advanced program. And then so they were teaching me more things that I could share with other people, and it's just kind of really unfolded. I think 2022, I ended up opening up the school. I have a school for metaphysical practice. And yeah, it's just, yeah, really just working mainly like that now, because I see how the physical dis-ease is literally as a result of energetic disharmony. And so whilst I still might prescribe herbs, or if there's overt deficiencies, minimal nutritional supplements just to recreate harmony, but then the true underlying cause of everything is energy. It's like, what's the faulty belief? What's that pattern of behavior that we don't know that's there usually because it's subconscious? And really gifting that to people, being able to share that, and help them with ways that that they can continue to reharmonize from there. And then the
What?
physical gets better.
Of course it does.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course it does.
Mm.
What is the actual modality? Like, is it a like a question based modality? You're asking questions. Is it energy work? What does it look like?
Yeah, so I guess what it looks like is there's a bit of chit chat in the beginning, so the person can feel comfortable and share with a bit of where they're at, and then go into a relaxing grounding meditation, so the field opens up. And then we're just sharing what's coming forward, really. Yeah, and it's usually
That
okay. There's get a sense that there's a bit of distortion around this area, and what it feels like as it's holding this disharmonious energy that, say, it might be someone's throat, and it's like, okay, I'm getting a sense there's a constriction in your throat, and, it feels like it's holding a story of what you say isn't landing with people. And how it's playing out is that it's making you overthink what you want to share, and it's losing the potency of if you did just trust your true expression. Can you resonate with that kind of thing? And then it'll be, yeah, and then it just unfolds from there, and then other layers sometimes will come forward, and yeah, just depending, how long we've got the session for, or whatever, or what else is needed. Sometimes other things are tied into that, and then so more information. And then I work with energy and elements, a lot of different light forms and things like that, as well, for the harmony.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Are you open to sharing some of this and tapping into some of the female collective, doing a little bit of group reading? I'd love to just experience some of the wisdom that comes through you.
Yeah, sure. All right. So what I really love to do first is we hop into a higher frequency.
Mhm.
So what I'll get you to do, and if you're on the recording as well, please join me, because what I find is that the frequency at which the transmission will come through is much more easily received if we're also in a more expansive state, which is a higher frequency type of state. And so if you just take a moment, breathe through your beautiful heart space. As you breathe in and out, just gently breathing in through the front and out through the back. Breathing back in through the back, front. Slow the breath down a little. Just helping you to arrive more into this space, giving that beautiful mind a well-deserved break, being in this very now. So if you take a moment again to feel into your beautiful heart, go right into the center of that, your true heart, beyond the stories, beyond the experiences, that part of you that is eternal. Connect in with that, noticing how that feels, not trying to change anything, just sitting with what is. As you breathe a little more into that, bring through some sparkly light. And so just seeing some gentle sparkly light spiraling through your heart space, or knowing or feeling that, whichever is your way that you most easily receive etheric information. As you breathe into that beautiful sparkly energy, what it's doing is it's reflecting source energy. And in that reflection, it's helping for your beautiful light to recalibrate source energy, to knowing that it is already source energy. This is one of the most potent keys to keep coming back, to remember that you are already that. You're already this divine light being that has chosen to come here for this human experience. So as you take a moment to breathe into your beautiful heart, feeling your light, allowing your light to be present in the here and now, knowing that it's safe to be here in your beautiful light. As you continue to breathe into that, may or may not be easy for you in this moment, and that's perfectly fine. You know, things go on, days fluctuate. It's perfect just the way it is, but you can always come back to your beautiful light at any time. And what happens is it becomes much more easy to connect in with as it integrates more and more with repetition. So as you continue to hold this beautiful spaciousness, just taking a moment to connect in with all the beautiful women who have come to this space through the calling of their soul. Sorry, my pussycat's here. He wants to chime in as well. All right, sorry.
Bringing the feline energy in.
We're just connecting into the energy of all of these beautiful women and some men who have been women before, just saying, that have actually been called to the planet at this time because of their capacity to remember. And calling all of those hearts to really feel into that. And you'll know if this is you. And if it is, to take the courage to stand in who you be, knowing that you are supported. You are supported not only by the great Mother Earth, but supported through the realms and supported by all of your brothers and sisters that are here on the same mission. Taking a moment to breathe into that. Time is now, this time that has been eagerly awaited by so many for so long. The time is here. If you feel the calling, you do get to choose. There's no pressure. If you can feel it within you and find the courage to take the leap, it's time. And know you will be caught, because what you do know, which is why you've come, you already have that connection to the greater reality, to the higher realms. You've all worked deeply before with great spirit in some way. To really allow yourself to breathe into that part of you that is this light, that is great spirit. As everything that you need to walk your path. You have been given everything that you need. You already have everything. The challenge in the density of this modern world is to see through it, to move through the veil, realizing the illusion of separation, because there never was. You've always been divine light, and you've come here to remember and to help others remember too. As you breathe into that, allowing yourself to receive that beyond the doubt, beyond the fear, knowing that this is you. Allowing yourself to connect with that, connect with the depth of your own being within. Give her permission to come forward, because it's time. Many of us here now. It's not dangerous like it used to be. We're more light here than ever before. You are supported. So if you feel to take the leap, you will be caught. Just breathing into that. As you feel your light deep within, inviting her even more forward. Your whole heart is glowing like the brilliant spark of light that you are. Just allowing yourself to sit with that, feeling the potency of your divine self, your higher self. She already knows. As you take a few more breaths into that, your beautiful light overflows from unlimited source. Flows down through all of your earth realm experience, your lower energy centers, reweaving that knowing that you've always been this light. As you take a few more breaths into that, your beautiful light continues to outpour this unlimited source light. Being all overflowing all the way down into the beautiful earth. Feeling that connection. Feeling that holding. Earth is here for you too. Like all good, there for her children. She's there, always loving, supportive. Whenever you feel like you're alone or you have to do everything, all you need is to remember the beautiful Earth Mother is there with you too, holding you every step of the way. Take a couple more big, deep breaths into that. Noticing how that's feeling for you. You continue to feel your beautiful light. You're with you forevermore is the invitation. Start to bring gentle movements back. You take your time and bring yourself back into the moment, just bringing all of your beautiful light back with you. So that could be part of some integration work, is just every day for a few minutes, just plug back into that, plug into the beautiful truth of who you are and, invite her forward and really connect into that the overflow. Source energy is unlimited and we can be powered by that. We don't need to effort alone. It's like literally when we can allow ourselves to operate from that source, it doesn't get depleting. We don't get depleted because we don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. As I come back into the space. Yes. Yes. And I think a really big part of it is that we've been conditioned that we have to do it alone. We have to do it all. And it's part of the isolation that is keeping us trapped and disconnected, right? And even as for myself, I've got 2 young kids and we're away from family and friends. It's just us. And so it's literally all on us to do all the things. And so you feel this heaviness with it. And I know that so many women and mothers feel that as well. And then it feels helpless. And then we forget that we can actually connect back with a greater source, something that's limitless, and that we can tune into that and receive divine guidance from there. Like that's where our intuition comes from.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also allowing the self to receive support. I noticed that a lot too with, in not that I'm gender biased, but with women, because for so many generations, we were only always what we could do for everybody else. And so there's this kind of sense that we have to do it all. Otherwise, we're failing in some sort of way. And, that's a difficult one too, that is very insidious, and it's a collective program. It's like it's not that there's anything wrong with us because we actually have that belief. It's actually been passed down for generations and generations, collectively, as well. And so to really, feel into that and, access, is that actually true? Or am I now allowed to reclaim, the truth of who I be as someone who desires to be of support to others, but not obligated to? It's a completely different frequency. Like obligation is a lack, it's a draining. Whereas it's like I desire to, because I'm coming from that space of, my truth and, even more of who I am as I allow her to be here with me.
And for women who are tuning in, and for the women who are in the audience of Mystics Unhinged, what comes through for you and through her, her, around guidance or wisdom that can really support us to access more of this and become the matriarchs
Yeah.
of our life, of our family, of our community.
Yeah. Amazing. Repetition. Just keep plugging into it, because that's what we're literally re-encoding our energy to actually be able to hold us. While we're holding all the shittiness and, all of that, it's like she can't even come in because it's not a match.
Yeah.
And so it's like, really just curating that energy. It doesn't have to be long and it doesn't have to be hard, but it needs to be repetitive to, create new habits in our energy, new imprints, so we can actually hold more of us. And then the world around us changes because our perception changes of, what's possible.
Mm. It's interesting because it's interesting, but it's also like, of course, this is the conversation, because I've been diving into this concept of repetitiveness in order to, stabilize the nervous system, in order to stretch my capacity, in order to be grounded and stable in all the things that I'm here to create and do. And so you're talking about repetitiveness. And I know that a lot of women listening in will hear the simplicity and also the complexity of what it means to do something repetitively and like have a devotion to that repetitiveness. Because we hear like, do this every single day. And on one hand, you're like, it can't be that simple. And on the other hand, it's like, I don't have time to do that every single day. I've got so much to do.
Yeah.
And I really just wanted to have a conversation around that, because this is the threshold where most women step back and say, no, it's not for me, or it's too hard, or I can't do that. But
Yeah.
this is the threshold of, if you can actually hold this, if you
Yeah.
can actually commit to doing this practice or a variation of this every single day, it doesn't seem logical in our head that it would open up all these doorways and opportunities for us, right? And connect us with our powers, our divinity, our intuition. But we have so many women on the other side that are saying the same things. It's like, do it every day
Yeah.
and watch the magic unfold.
Yeah, totally, totally. And I remember when the guides are first, like when I was first in training with them, so to speak, I'd be like, is that it? And they're like, go, yeah, that's it. Just get them to keep doing it. Because the answer's simple, but actually doing it is what's not simple, because we have a lot of resistance. Like the story about not having time is a resistance, because 5 minutes a day will change your life. Just 5 minutes, because energy moves quickly. And so that 5 minutes, you might not watch the commercials of that television program. It's like 5 minutes really isn't a lot. And, I know some women, even when they've got little children and they don't get a minute, it's like, what about 5 minutes when you first wake up in the morning, or before you go to bed, or when you're in the shower? Sit on the toilet and do it when you've got, that 5 minutes of peace. And the benefits you'll receive just even the first time you do it. And then it just keeps building onto each other, that your system becomes attuned or atoned to that frequency, so that, say you're in the shops and your toddler's having a meltdown, or something else like is happening in the workplace, that people are melting down everywhere, that you can just pause and go, plug back into that, expand, rise above. And it doesn't look like it doesn't look like the way it does as if we're pulled into the chaos. It actually allows us to be a side of the chaos and to hold the frequency field, which actually helps the situation without us doing anything other than holding our being in that space, which is the potency that connects with that part of everybody else. Like, that's the true magic. There's lots of layers of magic out there, but that our collective magic is that we become the ripple effect by doing that. And like 5 minutes a day, is that worth that? Not just to help yourself, but actually help all of your loved ones and all the people around them and all the people around them. And it's literally, this is how this is unfolding.
That's right. That's right. And so many women ask, in terms of the travesties and all the hardship that's happening around the world, it's like, well, what can I do? I feel helpless. And it's like 5 minutes a day. They take 5 minutes a day to do these sorts of practices, and it will ripple effect out into the world in ways you can't even imagine. And because your human can't imagine it, you think, well, it's not real. But the reality is that it is real, and energy goes far, and there's no limit to energy. So it's like you concentrate that energy for 5 minutes on yourself, for yourself, and
Totally. And, this is literally what's stabilizing our higher dimensional reality. Like, we're playing them both at the moment. We've got that. And the only difference is perception. And, when we're in our higher light, we perceive things totally differently, which is stabilizing this higher frequency field. And the more we can help to stabilize that higher frequency field by stabilizing it within, the less that the old has a hold on everyone.
right. And the way that we show up is different. The choices we make are different. The way that we respond versus react is different. The way that we lead ourselves is different. It impacts everything and everyone around us.
I love that it's simple. It really is simple, but then it's like the discipline, right? If you want to ditch any bad habits, like being grumpy is a bad habit, or, being stuck in stress is a bad habit, any things that, aren't that good for us to be doing continuously and long term are bad habits. It's like, you break any habits, it's repetition. But the good news is it's not hard and it feels good straight away. It's not like, trying to do something else that, you'll get results in 10 years time, or, 10 months time, or 10 weeks time even. It's like, oh, you can feel it in the moment, and then it compounds. And then it's like, oh, that becomes the access point, not just for you quickly, but for everyone around you as well. And then they can create their own access points. And it's kind of, disseminating like that remembrance.
I love this. I love this conversation so much. And now you said you offered actually that you would do a beautiful reading for one of our beautiful VIPs. I would love to open that up and let me know what you need in order to do your beautiful magic.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, that's it really. Because we have permission. She was very interested and excited to receive that. So I'll just take a moment and come into the space, and I'm just connecting in with her energy. And so what I'm getting a sense of is there's a lot of energy in the mind. And what it feels like, hang on one second, I just have to appease my pussycat. He's like, give me, don't pay attention to them, pay attention to me. Hey, baby.
It's all right, little buddy.
He's being so naughty. He's like, me, I want to be on there too. Yeah.
we welcome all.
He's so adorable too. He's just looking at me like, aren't I cute? Aren't I cute? Come play with me. I'm like, soon, baby.
I love it.
All right, so we'll just connect back in again. All right. So yeah, I'm just getting this awareness of like an over busyness in the mind, and it's feeling like it's not like busyness, like stressing about the mundane. It feels like more of an over busyness of, it's almost like trying too hard to be on your path, on your higher path. What it's actually doing, like I can feel it in your heart, like there's just such a passion, and this is your path that that you're on, but it feels like that it's like the urgency of wanting it to be now is creating a lot of discord in the mind. So the over processing, even though logically and in the old world that doing a lot should make it happen quicker, but when we're operating in this new potential reality, or this new reality that's coming into creation. And the whole reason we're on these paths is that we don't get validated by doing things that aren't kind to the human. So overdoing things, not allowing yourself to, take rest, not allowing yourself to do things that you love so you can weave the joy, like that actually feels like is more of a barrier at this point for you than actually anything that you're doing. It's actually, it's like, can you prioritize balance? And what you'll find is it'll all come into creation so much more easily and smoothly. So when you notice yourself sitting too much in the mind, imagining a beautiful golden rope just spiraling down from your mind into your heart. And as it makes that connection with your heart, what it's doing is it's harmonizing the interplay of energy between those two spaces. And it's like literally allowing the falling away of the extra thoughts that may not be necessary. And then as you come into your beautiful heart space, just breathing into that. Coming back to that beautiful divine light that you are. Allowing yourself to feel that, feel the frequency of your true being beyond the illusion of the current now. And as you breathe into that, slow down your breath and create that beautiful spaciousness with the breath. Actually going to call on the air elements as well. And so as you take your next breath and feel them start to move all around your heart space, and what they're bringing is a broader perspective. And so as you do that practice, because it feels like it's been happening for a while, so you'll have to catch it and do this a few times to help to reharmonize, but really feel that golden rope, feeling the energy going down into there, going down into your beautiful heart. As you connect with your true heart, breathing that spaciousness with the air elements. As you access that spaciousness, invite awareness of clarity. What is the single next step? Maybe what's not necessary now, or maybe not necessary at all. It's in this beautiful higher realm that we have here awaiting us. Co-creation is real. We do not need to do it alone. So allowing the self to really open and trust and weave more with co-creation is when the green light will be there for much more ease. And again, not because what you're doing is the problem, it's the way it's being done. And that's important to remember. So as you breathe into that, into your beautiful heart space, those beautiful air elementals, just feel the spaciousness of the air, creating spaciousness around you, creating spaciousness around all the tasks on the to-do list. Sweeping away the stuff that isn't really necessary. And you receive help in some ways in your in your usual life as well. It feels like there's a bit of leeway there for you to be able to receive some other help in that space as well, which will actually allow you to have more space for your creations and not have to feel like it's hurried, because when you're doing it in that hurried way, again, it's the looping repetition. I've got to do all the stuff, and then it creates all of that, and then the clear thinking kind of goes, and then it just gets overwhelming and it kind of distorts the frequency. Just taking a moment to breathe into that. Let's come back to your beautiful heart again, your beautiful light. Know that it's already done. It's just awaiting all of us to be the demonstration of not only what else is possible, but how else it gets to be. Picking our soul's desires, sharing from our hearts, sharing our passions, sharing our light. And, watching that illuminate the world around us. Now, and it's already done. Taking a big breath into that. To the moment, detaching from other people's energy. Yeah.
It was amazing. I look forward to her receiving that. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's cool. And you know what I love so much about, doing these like live for people is that it will resonate not just with that person. Other people will hear it'll be like, is she talking to me? And it's like, yes, you too. If you've related to that or any aspects of that, it's same. It's same. So because we are collective.
Right? We are collective. I appreciate that so much. And for women who have been tuning in and they love your energy, they love what you represent, they love what you're here to do, how can they work with you?
Yeah, so drniikee'sha.com is kind of my private service. If you want to do some sessions, I also do mentoring. I have my school if you're aligned to expand your service, if you are already working with people and desire to learn more mystical practice skills. And then I also have You Are the Magic, youarethemagic.online, which is a beautiful program that I've just developed that's for people's personal development, spiritual personal development. So if you're not necessarily targeted towards being a healer or working, more deeply with people in that way, really using the teachings and the practices and the processes that I take you through over the 3 to 6 months in that space to really untangle ourselves from all of the stories and, really plug into the greater reality and remember, more and more of what's there for us as well.
I love it. It sounds beautiful. Thank you so much for being part of Mystics Unhinged and really just speaking unfiltered and speaking your beautiful light and truth into the world. It has been it's just such a beautiful experience exploring your perspective of everything, right? Yeah, because we've been talking a lot about perspectives and witnessing your courage. And yeah, I just love the depths of these sorts of conversations. So thank you so much for being here. And
thank you for the invitation. It's been beautiful. And just one last little finishing thing that just come through is that it's like courage gets easier. It's like just baby steps, and the baby steps will give you the evidence. And then it's like, you can build the courage as you go. And then, it's like, it's not that things don't become pressurized or don't become a little bit scary. It's just like you just get used to it because you trust more and more as you go along.
I love that. That's so important. It is so important. We need to baby step the courage and build our capacity for more courage, and it will get easier.
Yeah, and turn the television off. Really, because it's like it's just
Please.
keeping us in all the in the devastation and everything that could possibly go wrong frequency.
Please turn the television off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe scroll Dr. Niikee's websites or something instead, or tune into yourself and your presence and
totally.
the magic that is you. Please.
Totally. And of course, reach out if you have any questions about anything. I'm always here too.
I love that. Thank you so much, lovely. And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good, darling.
Thank you for being here, gorgeous woman, for rising with us, remembering with us, and refusing to shrink inside a world that benefits from your silence. If this episode moved you, cracked you open, or reminded you of who the hell you are becoming, share it with a woman who is ready to rise too. I want to invite you to follow, subscribe, and leave a rating so this message becomes too loud, too wild, and too undeniable to be ignored. The movement grows because of women like you. Women who choose truth over comfort, liberation over obedience, and voice over disappearance. You can connect with me, Samantha Sanford, at Rebel Matriarch, and all links to our guest are in the show notes below. Until next time, stay rooted, stay rebellious, and remember, the world changes when women refuse to disappear.